Welcome to Learning English with Capt Binoy Varakil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph's College, Devgiri, Kozhikode, Kerala. Today we discuss a poem from Ways with Words. Ways with Words is the prescribed A02 General English text for the undergraduate students of the colleges of the University of Calicut. And this collection has a lot of very good selections such as poetry, short story, essay and one-act play. Today we discuss a good poem by one of the greatest poets of the world. The poem is titled A Roadside Stand, and it's written by the greatest poet of the world, Robert Frost. Robert Frost is an American poet, but he is, of course, received and well read and discussed all over the world. And everybody likes the poetry of Robert Frost because we know that his poems begin in delight and end in wisdom. Now let's just discuss some of the important aspects from the very life and literary career of Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born on March 26, 1874 in San Francisco, California. He belonged to New England. Frost's personal life was miserable with misfortunes and deaths. When his father died of tuberculosis in 1885, he was left penniless. In 1900, his mother died of cancer. A streak of mental illness ran throughout his family, and many of them, including himself, suffered bouts of depression. One of his sons committed suicide, and his daughter had a complete nervous breakdown. Of his 6 children, only 2 have survived. Farming was his first love as a profession, but finding himself a failure, he sold his farm and took to teaching and writing, both of which proved very successful. A reading of Robert Frost's poems would reveal that he frequently employed the rural life of New England as the setting of his poems and depicted it through language and situations familiar to common man. Many of Frost's poems explore the fundamental questions of human existence. As Harriet Monroe observes, there is a foxy New England persona and character in Frost's works, who unravels the human reaction to nature's processes. He was America's most widely read poet and a national celebrity. Let's look at some of the important collections of Robert Frost. Frost's volumes of poetry include A Boy's Will of 1913, North of Boston of 1914, Mountain Interval 1916, New Hampshire 1923, West Running Brook 1928, A Further Range 1937, and many other titles. Some of the poems which won Frost's great admiration and fame are The Road Not Taken, Mending War, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Birches, and After Apple Picking. Frost's choice of words, the colloquial rhythm, and the simplicity of his images are related to the rusticity and honesty of the scythe and plough. Frost referred to himself as a synecdochist. I prefer the synecdoche in poetry, that figure of speech in which we use a part for the whole. He is a philosopher who penetrates into the complexities of life and provides us insight as he wanted them to be. His poems begin in delight and end in wisdom. The boy who climbs, swings and bends the birch trees, the farmer who insists on mending the wall between neighbors, the traveler who is perplexed by the two rods in front of him, the tired apple picker, and the duty-conscious explorer who refuses to be drawn into the lovely dark forests are all illustrations of Froe's objectives of poetry and philosophy. Froe strongly reacted about verse forms. According to him, free verse is like playing tennis without a net. In 1916, Froe was asked to recite his poem The Gift outright at John F. Kennedy's presidential inauguration. Froe was the most honored and appreciated among the 20th century American poets, having received the Pulitzer Prize 4 times, more than 40 honorary degrees from Oxford and Cambridge, and the U.S. Congressional Medal. Froe died in 1963. His epitaph quotes the last line from his poem, The Lesson for Today: I had a lover's quarrel with the world. And let us understand a little bit about the poem prescribed for us, A Roadside Stand. A Roadside Stand is Froe's important poems, and it deeply empathizes with the farmers who sell their fresh, if not impressive, produce at a temporary stand alongside a busy road. As the vehicles speed by ruthlessly and recklessly, the expectations of the peasants soar up, only to be crushed down. The squeal of brakes is happily welcomed, but all the enthusiasm is dampened when the city dweller quickly and very casually inquires the price of the produce and leaves, or ridiculously demands a gallon of petrol, or to greater dismay merely reverses the car. These peasants have put up a roadside stand not to reduce their poverty, but for some additional incentive which would enable them to taste the luxuries of city life. Throughout the poem, there is a sharp contrast between the sophisticated, callous city dwellers and the trusting, naive rural folk. The speeding travelers interpret the roadside stand as a blemish on the otherwise beautiful countryside and find fault with it. These villages are victimized by property speculators, capitalists, and politicians who conspire to rob them of their native land and lure them into the mesmerizing world of the cities, where they cease to think and act themselves. Forced to migrate to a town, they face a literal reversal of time and work ethics. The voice of the farmer is rendered as a dramatic monologue to the heedless passerby. You have the money, keeping from us. All the pain and anger within him is revealed here. In the concluding part of the poet voices his impulsive desire to put an end to the suffering at one stroke, but soon rethinks and suggests that he would prefer to have someone mitigating his pain, since he cannot endure watching the plight of these villages. The poem originally appeared in the Atlantic Monthly in June 1936 and was included in the collection of poems titled A Further Range, with a subtitle On Being Put Out of Our Misery. Frost had also considered the title euthanasia for the poem. The poem is a critic of modernization. The stand is painful symbol of a past that is diminishing, a proof of the decline of agricultural prosperity and an agrarian way of life. Apparently simple, the poem is dense with suggestions. Now we have the poem. We are going to discuss the poem line by line, and we will come to the discussion of the questions after discussing the poem in detail. In another video, I have recited the poem. That is, of course, useful for the students. You can just listen to that video in which you listen to me reciting the poem. Here, I'll of course recite it line by line, part by part, and give you the explanation. So, a roadside stand. A roadside stand is very, very suggestive and symbolic. A roadside stand is a newly erected shed, and this shed is in front of the farmhouse or the house of farmers in the countryside of United States of America. And now the condition of the farmers is very pathetic. They are very impoverished and they have certain farm products. They have to sell some fruits and vegetables. Sometimes some of them are really very talented, and there are talented painters, and they keep the paintings they have painted for sale in these newly erected roadside stands. So these people, poor people in the roadside stands, farmers they think that all those rich people coming from the cities passing by would stop their luxury cars and buy some of the farm products, and that would be a real blessing for them. The $2 or $3 or $5 that the city people give these farmers when they buy the farm products would be a great incentive and great benefit or great relief to these poor farmers. They think that they may stop there and buy something. They are eagerly looking for each and every car to come and stop there. They are praying also, just like in Hemingway's novel, The Old Man and the Sea. The old man Santiago is praying for a fish to bite the bait, and maybe he says, I will say 100 Our Fathers if I can catch this fish, or if I can catch a fish. Similarly, these people, these farmers in the countrysides of United States of America, they are very innocent and they are just eagerly waiting for rich people to stop and buy something. The little old house was out with a little new shed in front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. A roadside stand that too pathetically pled, it would be fair to say, for a doll of bread, but for some of the money, the cash, whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. Very abrupt and attractive beginning of the poem, A Roadside Stand. We have a very graphic image or picture, like in a painting of a roadside stand. It is new and it's small shed. It is in front of the house. It is at the edge of the road, and the road is of course very busy where the traffic sped. Traffic sped is of course a kind of figure of speech, traffic sped, and this is in fact a transferred epithet. Traffic sped is a transferred epithet for, we know that it is the speeding, the reference is to the speeding cars. We have a lot of speeding cars, and a roadside stand that too pathetically pled. So the roadside stand is of course pleading. It is too pathetically pleading. In fact, we understand that it is not the roadside stands that plead, it's the people there. And here we have of course personification. Too pathetically pled. Too pathetically pled is personification. We know that the roadside stand cannot plead, but people in the roadside stand are pleading. So pathetically pled, a roadside stand that too pathetically pled is personification. And the traffic spurred is again another figure of speech that is transferred epithet, because it is not the road that is speeding, it is the cars that are speeding. So we have a number of beautiful figures of speech here. The traffic spurred, a roadside stand that too pathetically pled. It would be fair to say for a dole of bread, but for some of the money. So it would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. So they are not pleading for a dole of bread, a piece of bread, but they are pleading for maybe a little bit of money. And this money, for some of the money, the cash, whose flow supports the flower of cities. So they are hoping to get some money. They think that these people will stop there, the city people will stop there and buy something, and that $1 or $2 is going to be a help for them. So they have all these roadside stands not to buy any bread or any food or edible item, but of course to have maybe to get a little bit of money from the rich people. And it is of course that money, the money is of course the flower of cities, and whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. So if the money doesn't flow, the cities wouldn't prosper. So the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead. Here we have again other figures of speech, right? Here we have transferred epithet. The polished traffic. Polished traffic is not the traffic. Polished traffic refers to the cars. Okay, it is again transferred epithet, just like the traffic spurred. We know the traffic cannot speed, it is the cars that speed. So the polished traffic pass with a mind ahead. So all these people, the rich people in the cars, they don't stop. They think something else and they are sitting very straight and erect. They continue the driving. Polished traffic pass with a mind ahead. Or if ever aside a moment, sometimes when they turn aside, they never turn aside, they always sit straight and drive. But if at all they turn aside for a moment, then out of sorts, in a very irritable way, out of sorts, at having the landscape marred with the artless of signs that with N turn wrong and S turn wrong, offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts, or crook-necked golden squash with silver watts, or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain, seeing you have the money. But if you want to be mean, why keep your money this grossly and go along? Now, sometimes when these rich people in the cars turn aside and look at the roadside, they see the roadside, okay, and they are angry, out of sorts, irritably, very angry and irritable. They are angry. Why? Because they think that to them these roadside stands have spoiled, marred the beauty of the landscape. So they think these roadside stands as blemishes, and they are angry that the roadside stands are spoiling the beauty of the landscape. And when they look into the roadside stands, they see, of course, on the edge of the highway there are signboards, and somehow these signboards are not kept in the proper way, and they are again angry about the wrong position of the signboards. That is what is indicated by with that of signs with N turned wrong and S turned wrong. So N stands for north and S for south. But sometimes in these signboards the N for north is not in the right direction of north. N could be in the direction of south or east or maybe west. So all these signposts are not kept properly, and the city people are angry about that too. They are angry about the roadside stand spoiling the beauty of the landscape. They are also angry about the signboards not properly kept with N turned wrong and S turned wrong. And what do they have? These peasants and farmers have to sell something. All the products are just mentioned here by Robert Frost. They have some wild berries in wooden quarts. Quarts means boxes. So these farmers have kept a lot of wild berries in the wooden boxes, and or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. That is the reference to the painting. Okay, beauty is captured, copied in a beautiful mountain scene where they have landscape paintings. Some of these farmers are painters, and we have paintings for sale. You have money. And now the farmer, this is of course a dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue is a poem in which we listen to a speaker, monologue, single speaker, and we understand the presence of others through the very words of the speaker. So here we have one farmer, and this farmer is speaking about the roadside stands, and the roads and the farmer speaks again about the rich people driving in the luxury cars, and he is very angry about the callous, indifferent, ruthless behavior of the city people, the rich people. They have too much money, but they are so stingy and miserly that they don't bother to help these poor farmers selling their very good farm products on the roadside stands. So he says he is angry. The farmer, the speaker of the poem, is very angry, and he speaks, right, you have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money? Okay, yeah, you have a lot of money, so if you want to be very mean and without any kind of empathy or sympathy, keep your money. This grossly monologue and the very emotion of the speaker is mentioned. Grossly means angrily. So the farmer is speaking in a very angry tone. And go along. You just go and get lost. If you want to be very stingy and mean, take your money, keep your money. The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. These rich people, they are complaining about the hurt to the scenery because of the signposts and because of the roadside stands, the landscape, rather the beauty of the landscape is lost. But the speaker is a farmer, right? The farmer doesn't complain about the spoiling of the landscape, but he is upset and worried about the sorrow, the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. So these people, they have a trusting sorrow because they think that, they trust that somebody is going to buy something. They wait for more people to come and buy something, but nobody stops there. Still they trust that somebody is going to come and stop there. Hope, these farmers have a lot of hope, and when they don't stop and don't buy anything, they are very, very sad and sorrowful. So the trusting sorrow, still they hope that somebody will stop there. Trusting sorrow, or what is unsaid. Here far from the city we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to fill in hand to try if it will not make our being expand. Maybe we are far away from the city, we are far away from the town, and we have the roadside stands. And we think that maybe if you buy something, we can feel the city money. And this $5 we get, the $10 we get, it is going to help us a lot. It will try if it will not make our being expand. Maybe it will help us and give us the life of the moving pictures promise. Okay, so they have seen films sometimes, and in the films they see a lot of luxury, people dressed in new dress, people having a lot of very delicious and tasty food. Okay, maybe at times we can have a little bit of enjoyment when we get this kind of a money. The party in power is said to be keeping from us. So all the luxury, all the riches, all the comfort and all the pleasure and joy, okay, we don't have any joy. All this is being just limited. All this is just denied to us by the party in power. So Frost is complaining or is criticizing the politicians. The politicians do not care for the farmers. So it is because of the party in power that we do not have any joy or any relief or any welfare. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin are to be brought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theater and the store. So the speaker, the farmer, again remembers the fact that there is a news that these farmers in the countryside, in the remote villages, will be taken to places near to cities. Okay, so this is again about the real estate business. So the real estate people, they just want to buy the farm of the farmers in the countryside, and they have to use the land for development projects, factories, making factories, beginning new business, etc. So they will be offering some money to these people and they will buy it. So the people, the farmers, they haven't seen much money, and the offer of money by selling the land is going to, of course, be a big temptation. So to live in villages next to the theater and the store, the government is planning to, of course, acquire the land of the farmers, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore. So when these people are shifted from countryside to the city, they don't have to worry about anything. That is what the politicians say. The same is said by the real estate business people. So they are being lured into, tempted into, persuaded into selling their land in the countryside, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore. While greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe out of their wits. So all these politicians, they are called, we have a lot of powerful figures of speech here. While greedy good doers, greedy good, this is alliteration. Greedy good is again greedy good. How can a greedy person be good? Oxymoron. So you have two figures of speech here. While greedy good doers are politicians, they are ministers, they are, of course, the real estate people, the business people. Alright, so greedy good doers, two figures of speech. One is alliteration, repetition of the consonant sounds in the beginning of words is alliteration. And combining two contradictory ideas, like a terrible beauty is born. How can beauty be terrible? How can terrible be beauty? Similarly, how can good be greedy? How can greedy be good? That is oxymoron. Greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey. Again, alliteration. Beneficent beasts, burr. Repetition of consonant sounds in the beginning. Burr. Beneficent beasts of prey. Again, oxymoron. How can beneficent beasts be? Beasts be beneficent. Beneficent beasts of prey. So preying, predatory animals, predatory beasts beasts cannot be, of course, beneficent. So again, oxymoron. So all the references to politicians, real estate people, ministers, and the leaders who are corrupt and exploiting the poor farmers. Beneficent beasts of prey swarm over their, crowd over, gather around their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits. So these rich people, all the politicians, all the real estate people, all the leaders, they are offering them a lot of temptations. They have a lot of offers. You will live in the city, there will be so much of comfort, no tension, no worry. You will have electricity, you will have air condition, you will have food, lot of offers. The politicians and the real estate people want these farmers to sell their land. So, swarm over, they are gathering over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits. So, soothe them out of their wits means these offers are going to influence the farmers. They will be really tempted to sell their land to soothe them out of their wits. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. So these politicians and ministers, they are administrators, they are teaching them. When you move from village to city, you will have to sleep in a peculiar way. So they are teaching them how to sleep in the cities, and they are sleeping all the way. What does it mean? Very, very blistering attack and criticism of the politicians. They are sleeping all the way. They are teaching these farmers how to sleep in the cities and sleeping all the way. They don't do their duties. They are just inefficient administrators, politicians, very, very selfish, greedy, useless politicians. Sleep all day, destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. So all these offers of buying their land is destroying the sleep of the farmers, for farmers. The farmers cannot think of selling their land. Their land, their farm in the villages, in the countryside is of course heaven to them. So they don't want to move away from their farms. And all these offers, all these teachings, how to sleep in the city of the politicians, is destroying their sleep in the ancient way. These farmers in the villages, they can sleep comfortably because they are working hard throughout the day. Dawn to dusk they work hard, and they don't have any difficulty in sleeping during night. But when they think of being shifted to the city, when they think of being away from their farms, when they think of selling their farm, they lose their sleep and they have no peace. They are totally disturbed. Destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself, I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. So the speaker, the farmer again looks at these people in the roadside stand. They are eagerly waiting. And I cannot just bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. They just long in vain. They wish in a futile way. Their wish for someone to come and buy something is not heard, and they are upset and worried. And the speaker is very sad about that. Sometimes I feel myself, I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. The sadness that lurks near the open window here. Personification again. The sadness cannot lurk. Sadness cannot just rise up. Sadness cannot just peep Sadness cannot just look out. So sadness is of course a feeling, and it is not sadness, right? It's a farmer. A farmer is just looking out near the window, and this is personification. Sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer. It is not sadness that is in prayer. It is the farmer who is in prayer. So it is again personification. Human quality is given to an idea. Human quality is given to an emotion. This is personification. Sadness that lurks near the open window for the squeal of brakes. So the sadness is waiting. The farmer is waiting for car to stop. When the cars stop, when the cars brake, there will be the sound of the brake, and that is squeal of brakes. The sound of the stopping car, the squeal of brake is the sound of the stopping car. Of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass, selfish cars can't be selfish. The driver is selfish, transferred epithet. Lot of transferred epithet. Of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass, just want to inquire what a farmer's prices are. Maybe of all the 1,000 cars, somebody will stop there, and what will they do? They will ask the price of maybe the apple. They will ask the price of the vegetable. They don't buy anything. And one did stop, and only to plow up grass in using the yard to back and turn around. Of all the 1,000 passers-by, cars, drivers, one stopped. And what did he do? He didn't buy anything. He just reversed his car. While reversing, he just plowed the land there, the surface of the land. There could be a lawn there, and that lawn has been spoiled by the reversing of the luxury car in using the yard to back and turn around. And another to ask the way to where it was bound. Another 1,000, of all the 1,000, one stops there, reverses the car. Another stops and asks, which direction will I go if I continue driving this? Or rather, he's asking which way to go to Cincinnati, which way to go to New York, which way to go to, of course, maybe Vermont or another city. And another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? Another luxury car driver, rich man, comes there and asks, do you sell, can I buy a gallon of gas? Gallon of gas is, of course, gas is petrol in American English. They are asking these people, they have no common sense at all. So they are asking if they can buy some petrol from. Gallon is something like some 3, 4, 5 liters of petrol. So if they can buy petrol, how can these farmers sell petrol? You need to get license from the state to, of course, buy or sell petrol. Petrol, you need to have a pump as such, right? But they don't have. They are poor farmers selling some apple, some vegetables, some fruits. So these people have no common sense. They are asking if they can buy some petrol from there. This is again very powerful criticism of Robert Frost. The city people, they have money, they don't have common sense. So they are asking another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't. This grossly. The speaker, the farmer, is very angry. They couldn't. How can they? They are poor farmers. They have none. Didn't it see? Can't you understand? Don't you have common sense? What's your IQ? You are foolish enough to ask them a gallon of gas. Now in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. Okay? So now in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found. So nobody stops, nobody buys, and they don't get the expected lift of spirit was never been found. These farmers, they don't get any kind of encouragement or support or relief. None of the drivers stop there, and they don't get maybe $1 or $2. That is the country scale of gain. The country scale of gain refers to $1 is a benefit, $1 or $5 or $10 is something big to the people in the villages. But it is, of course, it could be millions and billions of dollars a gain to the rich people in the cities. To the people in the city, it is millions and billions, which is of course a gain. But to those people in the villages, $1 is a gain, $5 is a gain, $10 is a gain, and they are waiting for someone to buy something and give them $5, but they don't get it. So that is it. The country, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite leptospirit has never been found. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. Now these people are complaining. Poor farmers, they are sad, nobody buys anything. And now the very speaker is sad about the pathetic, miserable, unheard and unanswered pants and prayers of these farmers. I can help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. The speaker, a farmer, the poet, thinks that better these people, these poor miserable farmers better die. I wish I could kill them. If I kill them, all their misery ends. If I kill them, all their pain comes to an end. And I wish if I could do that, if I could kill them in a single stroke. This is the sudden reaction of the speaker, the farmer, because he doesn't want these people to suffer. Because the city people are so indifferent and they don't care for these farmers. And the poet, nobody cares. The politicians do not care. The administrators, the ministers, none of the leaders don't care for them. And the speaker, the farmer, is very sad and he thinks better kill them. That is why once Robert Frost thought of giving the title euthanasia, mercy killing. I wish if I could kill them, they better not suffer anymore. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And then the next day, as I come back into the same. So one day, sometimes I think I better kill them. But after some time, maybe next day or sometime later, I think, oh my God, no. How can? Let them live. I don't want to kill them. I cannot think of murdering them. I don't want to kill them. And then next day, as I come back into sane, into normalcy, into reason again, right? When I am again normal, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So the poet is wishing, the poet is asking the readers, the poet is asking everybody, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. Okay, so please come to me and try to console me, relieve me of my pain. Help these people, help the poor farmers. Maybe they have a better living. Try to buy something, cooperate with them, just help them. Okay, so this is the wish of the poet. Robert Frost is hopeful that people would read his poetry and maybe government would intervene and help the poor farmers of the villages of United States of America. That is the end of the wonderful poem, A Roadside Stand. And Roadside Stand is suggestive of, symbolic of the hope of the poor, pathetic, impoverished farmers who are hopeful all the time that the rich people with all their money maybe buy something. Okay, so now we have to come to the discussion of the questions. We will look at all the questions one by one. Let's discuss the questions and answers of A Roadside Stand by Robert Frost from Ways with Words. We are in page number 24. Page number 24 and 25 we have some questions. First question, from which anthology is the poem A Roadside Stand taken? This poem is taken from A Further Range of 1936. A Further Range of 1936. Next question. The woods are lovely, dark and deep is a poem, is from the poem Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. Euthanasia is a term which means mercy killing. The sadness that lurks near the open window. What is the figure of speech in the line? It is personification. Sadness that lurks near the open window is personification. Now we have short questions. What are the reasons for which a car may stop in front of the roadside stand according to the farmer? According to the farmer, the cars may stop to ask the direction where they are heading to, number one. Number two, sometimes to ask the price of the farm products for sale there. Number three, if the farmers could sell a gallon of gas, to ask if they could sell some gas or petrol. What is the promise offered by the motion pictures? The motion pictures are offering a better life, luxury life, some benefits, or rather some happiness, joy, better dress, better house, all that we have in films. And these farmers think of having a better life with the dollar, with the small money they get from the sale of these farm products. Next question. What is the attitude of the city dwellers towards the roadside stand? They are very contemptuous. They have a contemptuous attitude. They also have a very critical attitude. They consider the roadside stand as a blemish on the beautiful landscape, and they find fault with the signboards with N turned S and S turned N, and of course they think that these roadside stands are marring or spoiling the beauty of the landscape. Explain the figure of speech in selfish cars and polished traffic. Selfish cars and polished traffic, we know that cars can't be selfish. We know that traffic cannot be polished. Okay, the driver is selfish. The cars are polished. So it is transferred epithet. Transferred epithet is the figure of speech, and transferred epithet is a qualifying adjective. It is sometimes transferred from a person to an object. Okay, so here we have cars, not selfish, but the driver is. So the driver's selfishness is given to the cars, transferred epithet. Similarly, we have in Thomas Gray, the plowman plods his weary way. The plowman plods his weary way. The way is not weary. The plowman, the farmer, is weary. Transferred epithet. Next question, fifth question in page number 25. How is the country scale of gain contrasted with that of the city? Country scale of gain is poor farmers in the farms, in the village, countryside, dreams of getting $5, $10, small amount. That is the country amount of gain, the country scale of gain. And city, they dream about making millions and billions and billions and billions. Difference. Okay, next question. Who are the beneficent beasts of prey and the greedy good doers? The beneficent beasts of prey and greedy good doers are politicians, real estate business people, and the government administrators, ministers, all leaders. They are beneficent. They are offering them a lot of benefits, and they are beneficent beasts of prey. Politicians, real estate people, and ministers, and all greedy good doers. All the time very crazy, money oriented, profiteers they are, mercenaries they are. Next question. Comment on Frost's skillful use of figures of speech in the poem. This poem, Roadside Stand, like all the other poems of Robert Frost, is so beautifully ornated with figures of speech like oxymoron we have. Beneficent, beasts of prey, greedy good doers. Likewise, we have oxymoron. We have alliteration, greedy, good doers, beneficent, be so pray. Transferred epithets, we have a lot of transferred epithets. We have Polish traffic, selfish cars. Personification we have. So more than 4 different figures of speech we have used many a time in this poem, Roadside Stand. What is the persona of the farmer that is revealed in the dramatic monologue? The farmer, we have a farmer who is unhappy, a farmer who is very, very sad about the impoverished, pathetic, uncared for condition of the farmers of United States of America. So he is a representative of many farmers in United States of America, in the villages of United States of America. So the persona is, of course, he is angry. He is angry at the rude behavior, indifferent behavior of the city people, and he feels sympathy and empathy for the farmers, of course, his fellow farmers. He is very angry at the crude and rude and cruel, selfish, stingy attitude of the city people. Do you think euthanasia would be a better title for this poem? Justified. It could be sometimes a better title because it's about mercy killing. He once wishes if he could kill these people, but maybe A Roadside Stand is, of course, a good title or a better title because it is rather, it suggests positivity, it suggests hope. But when you say euthanasia, it is something negative, right? Although mercy killing, there is some kind of negativity in it. So better title could be Roadside Stand, but euthanasia can also be okay because we have poetry, poems dealing with tragedy, tragic incidents, pain, sorrow, etc. This poem is also about pain, it's about misery, it's about poor people. So it can also be, but better is, of course, A Roadside Stand. How does the farmer assess city life? City life, according to the farmer, is very, very, bad, very bad, because there is, of course, a reference to the shifting of the people from villages to the cities, and the poet says that they cannot sleep comfortably in the ancient way in the cities. In the city, of course, there is so much of chaos, so much of noise, vehicles, express trains, the hooting and the looting, and a lot of problems there. So no life, and farmers, they can't do anything in the city, but in the villages, in the countryside, they can work, and they have, of course, very fresh air, very good climate, and that natural atmosphere in the countryside is always a soothing and refreshing and rejuvenating experience for the farmers. The city life is very, very unbearable for the farmers. They will not be happy in the city. They can never be. Now, the essay question: analyze the poem as a critic of modernization. Yes, this poem is a critic of modernization. It's about urbanization, it's about industrialization, and it's a criticism of modernization, because if all the farms and villages is going to be purchased and transformed into factories or places where we have some activities going on, industrial activities going on, life will be in danger. So there is a limit for developmental projects, there is a limit for urbanization, there must be, otherwise, of course, life will be in trouble. And we know that all the problems of the present world, big problems like climatic changes, pollution, contamination, lack of pure air, pollutants in the air, okay, all this is as a result of industrialization and urbanization or modernization. And Robert Frost is unhappy with the kind of rapid modernization that is spreading all over United States of America as well as other countries. Comment on the symbolic significance of the roadside stand. Roadside stand is symbolically signifying hope of the peasants. it also signifies the desire of they like to have everything and anything, and again they think of getting some additional incentive. So this is again symbolic of additional incentive, symbolic of expectation. Again, it's of course a contrast between the city life, and roadside stand is a contrast of the city life and the village life. And of course it's about the naive, innocent people in the villages. Other side, it's about the rude and indifferent behavior of the city people who are very rich. So the negligent attitude of the rich people is again in the title Roadside Stand. Roadside Stand. They are compelled to make this roadside stand because the government doesn't care for them. The politicians do not care for them. Because of that reason. Otherwise, if their farm products are bought by the government and it is taken to the market by the government, they don't have to have this roadside stand. So it's of course a very powerful, blistering attack of the government and administrators in United States of America. It is farmers' condition everywhere is very pathetic, and Robert Frost feels very much for the very pathetic condition of farmers. Okay, so that's about the beautiful poem of Robert Frost, A Roadside Stand. Thanks a lot for listening. May God bless you.